Hello everybody and welcome to the Miniature Showcase. The Miniature Showcase is where we look at different miniatures from different companies. Now today's video we're going to look at a vintage or a classic figure. This figure is from Citadel Miniatures. Now here's a bit of history for those of you who don't know. Citadel Miniatures was set up in 1979. Now until 1984 they produced Royal Partha figures licensed for sale in the UK, as well as their own unique ranges. Now, Citadel Miniatures was owned by Games Workshop and Brian Ansell when they first started, and Games Workshop later became what we know now as Warhammer. In 1981, Citadel Miniatures was set up, and this meant sculptors like Tom Meyer could be added to the roster. Now, Tom Meyer, incidentally, is the sculptor for this figure, and it's for the Citadel Dragons series. This is the Oriental Dragon from the Citadel Dragon series, and I checked. This figure was released in October 1984. Now on the Royal Partha catalogue, which is also where you can find this figure archived, this figure is called the Celestial Dragon under their personalities and things that go bump in the Night series. Now, I've been in a slight cleanup mode recently, and I've been diving into my storeroom more often than not, sorting out my games and figures, which probably explains why I actually did a review on Anvil Magazine #1 a few videos ago. But while looking in a nondescript box, I found this piece of history. Now this figure was already primed white, so I must have started on this figure a long while ago, and I must have strangely stopped. Okay, well, it's time to get this figure done. Let's get to it. This figure is casted in metal and has considerable weight, so it's nice to touch. At least for me, I'm quite partial to metal figures myself. I decided early that this was going to be a red Oriental Dragon, so the first step was to give the dragon a coat of Army Painter's Pure Red spray. The Army Painter Pure Red is such a bright and strong color, as you can see here. Actually, if you just put a spray and leave it, it looked great. In fact, if you're going to paint this figure super fast, here's what you do. A flat coat of Army Painter Pure Red spray, followed by a quick shade dark tone wash. And that you should get the figure done, in a record time. Now, very quickly as a tip, I gave the dragon 2 coats of lightly dusted spray. Now, I waited for the first coat to dry before applying the second coat. Now, this is very, very important though. Most people tend to blast their sprays onto the miniature. This ends up having specks of the paint clogging up the detail. So I highly recommend dusting or a light spray, and do it as many times as possible. For me, for this particular figure, I did it twice. I just generally think that if you do this, you get a much better and smoother result. I gave the top fins of the dragon some color. I used Army Painter's Angel Green. This was simply done so I could see which part of the figure that would look best with this new color. Because adding a new color to an already established palette like red, you needed to put something on in order for you to know where things will go. This figure was then given a very rough highlight of 50-50 Angel Green and Matte White. Now this layer was almost not blended, and this was also an attempt to give the final green a nice undercolor. So consider this like a brush on zenithal basing, I guess. The next step was to pick out the details and lights with a strong dry brush of matte white. I tried to pick up all the places that we highlighted later. Now I know I'll be giving the dragon a wash, so going hard with the dry brush in this particular instance definitely helped. With the strong highlight done, I chose Army Painter's red tone to find the shadows and places where there would be a separation between the underbelly and the dragon scales. Also where some shadow is. In the deeper recesses, I used quick shade dark tone for a more dramatic effect. I also got my bottle of P3 red wash to help tone down the harsh white highlights a little bit. Next, I added another color to the whole palette. These were the flames. I gave the flames a base of elven flesh, and then I highlighted it with Army Painter's yellow and washed it with P3's yellow wash. The elbow scales were painted with Army Painter's Hawk Turquoise, and the top fins were given a light coat of this color as well. And this was great because once I already had the undercoat painted with the harsh highlights, it went on quite smoothly and nicely. Now the edges, basically where the fins connected to the scales, were given a slight wash of blue tone for some contrast. The base was done with a combination of black battleground and ash waste basing from Army Painter. The orbs on the base are basically silica gel beads and the base was finished with pencil shavings that was sprayed white. Now this figure was painted over a few days and I want to say was given about maybe 3-4 hours of paint time. This does not include the time it took for the PVA glue to cure and for me to find the perfect base for this figure. Now this is a very, very nice figure and credit definitely goes to the sculptor. Considering this came out in 1984, well, says a lot. You can tell a lot of care went into the research and the design, worthy of a Tom Mayer name being associated with it. I truly enjoyed painting this figure, by the way, and this will actually go very nicely on my dragon shelf in the store. Maybe I should feature that shelf in the video in the future. Would you like that? Let me know in the comments and I'll get to it. That's about it, folks. That's about it. Like, subscribe, and don't forget to enjoy painting those figures.